All right, guys, we're back with the Contractor Compass, episode 17. Just me and Jace again this week. Today, we were going to be talking about just customer retention in the home service industry. I think something a lot of guys don't put a lot of attention towards. We're just going to keep it light. Typical chatter back and forth here from me and Jace, just on different ideas here. We've actually been already on this call. If you guys watch this podcast, you know that we do this virtually. So we've actually been bullshitting for probably the last 40 minutes. We probably should have just went live, but anyway, today's topic, once again, the customer retention. So I'll start this one out, Jace, because obviously that's a big thing on our end, not only for us, as obviously, once again, guys, if you watch this podcast or know anything about what me and Jason do, I own a marketing company, right? So we're in the marketing space, and retention is our life. That's all that matters here. But I don't think it's given enough attention inside the home service industry. Now, one place I do oftentimes see people having their head on straight is usually in the HVAC space. They know that they need a maintenance agreements. And I say that, and Jason's maybe shaking his head a little bit because he's thinking that a lot of guys still suck at it. But if you look at other industries, they definitely know that they are comeback customers. I do talk to companies all the time, HVAC companies specifically, because it's only in certain industries. So that's kind of what I want to brainstorm with you, Jason, how guys can get in homes if they're in an industry that maybe isn't all comeback customers. Take insulation, for example. Those are the two verticals we work in, right? HVAC and insulation. And in the insulation industry, they're really one-timers, right? We don't run reactivation campaigns. We don't run, if the company just does insulation, we really can't get back in the home with them. They can't put them on maintenance agreements. They can't do anything like that. So maybe brainstorming on different things to do there. But
absolutely,
from what you see on the HVAC side specifically, what are the big things that people miss? Is it just maintenance agreements? Is the way that they structure their maintenance agreements? Is that the only way to get back in the home? How do you keep up customer retention? That's not just the maintenance agreements, customer service, right? There's a lot that gets rolled in. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. No, a bunch of great points already, but that's really kind of the big thing is going to definitely be your maintenance agreements. Silly things like stickers, valve tags, things is what a lot of plumbers use. I mean, everybody knows about the sticker wars, and these are very common things. Definitely people in the HVAC space on the sticker side do. Valve tags isn't something they do a lot, because if you're a new homeowner, and everybody can probably relate to this, and you go into your house, and I work in the space, and we bought this house about 6 months ago, and I got here, and the first thing I was doing is I'm looking for, they had shut everything off before we moved in here, so I'm looking for all my main valves, right? My main shut off valves. Is that nothing? I had 7 pipes lined up, and not one of them was tagged. I had no clue which one. Nothing was written on it. There's nothing, right? So silly things like that, and somebody appreciates that. But if you look into spaces like for irrigation, new homeowner, I come in right on my zone box for my irrigation. It's this company's name and their phone number. So first thing, it's all about convenience, right? So if you want to get back into somebody's home, number one, definitely customer service is going to be the first and foremost, and that's going to start from your office all the way down. Second thing is, if you want to retain that customer, obviously they got to have that good experience, but then you want to go ahead and try to keep something in front of them, right? So whether it be a flyer, whether it be the retargeting campaigns that you talked about, you have to be running something such as that to get back into their home. The retargeting campaigns are great when you're starting to put, sales and things like that. So that's all very basic stuff. If you're working in a space where you're like, hey, I sell kind of a one and done product where I'm not going to be getting back in there, that's where you need to start kind of buddying up or teaming up or adding in something that will get you back into that space. So, and that's something that does have that residual tied to it. And, that's something like an HVAC. HVAC absolutely has shoulder months. So for us, it's tough to get back into somebody's home during those shoulder months. And the slower times, what it is that helps out is things like duct cleanings or dry event cleanings, things like that. So that's where that retention gets back into. But again, we have a big banner kind of in our office, and it's communication is key. I mean, it's the most oldest saying, but if you want to maintain your customers, you as a business owner, you got to make sure that your team is communicating with your customers. You can't forget about scheduling. You got to be showing up. You got to be communicating. it goes a long ways. If you say, hey, we're going to be there between 8 and 10,
Yep.
and your guy's running late, if you can actually call that customer and make sure that somebody's calling that customer to make them aware, hey, we're going to be running X amount of time late. We'll be there at this time. Is that okay? And you're doing that ahead of time because you're respectful of people's time.
Yep.
That's going to go a long ways to retaining that customer for future business.
Correct. And I'm thinking about, and this is specifically something we get asked a lot in installation, because there is no way for us to get back in the home, or there hasn't really been yet, right? If the customer if the partner just doesn't want to add another service, they're like, no, I'm good. But you kind of sparked that thought process in my mind, where it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to, obviously if you insulated their attic, right, you're not going to do that again if you did a good job. Right. And if you didn't do a good job, they're sure as hell not calling you back.
Exactly.
Right? But let's say you insulated their attic, and you're just talking about communication and following up with customers and doing good things and exactly. Whatever. So let's say you do sell this customer. Let's say as an installation owner, I'm just taking that, once again, this is my ballpark, so I'm going to take that. Let's say you're an installation owner and you plug in a nurture sequence or something that just keeps some communication with the customer to where you're not going to come in and re-insulate their attic, but you may very well come in and spray foam their garage when they build it.
Exactly.
Or when they get a new house, you're going to do the same thing that you did to their old house. Yeah. So maybe not like from a marketing standpoint, something I can tangibly show some of my partners where it's like, hey, it's going to have more of a timeline on it than the HVAC, 2 times a year checkup or whatever.
That's
right. But at least you can absolutely still consider that customer retention.
Yeah, there's multiple things you can do. I mean, I know a lot of insulation companies that just do insulation, but they started adding on vapor barriers, right?
Yeah.
And encapsulations and things of that nature. And a lot of them, or ductwork removal, especially in crawl spaces down in the South here. That's huge. Everything's crawl spaces down here. So those are really big additional things that you can add on that you're already in that space managing that process. That you can do, and we touched on that in a previous episode. But those are going to be things to retain them. But the big thing is too referrals, right? Offering an incentive to somebody that you've already had a good experience with you as a referral. That's going to keep you in front of them, keep them up to date on the news. And then when their mom is talking, because people are going to come over and ask, this big project going on, your neighbors. Like I live in a subdivision where, if I sand level my yard, all of a sudden you see 5 other people starting to sand level their yard and they have no clue what they're doing, right? But you start, everybody's doing their walks at night and everybody's talking and asking questions. And then you can start to put the company's name out there to assist them. And that's really big with retention, because now you become the community name for that space that you're in. And that's what you want to do. Correct. So I would absolutely say look for extra services.
Even pivoting within your own service. So like I was just on a meeting with once again, I'm just going to go to insulation. I was on a meeting with an insulation company, and he was talking about, he added, so from a, just looking in, it looks like they just do spray foam on existing homes and new builds and things of that nature. And he pivoted, and he is still doing the exact same product, but now he's doing concrete lifting.
Yeah. And that's huge. Foundation leveling. Yeah, that's big.
So look at your business in the home service industry. If you're doing garage doors, maybe you add in, I don't know, garage door windows or whatever, right? Whatever.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's it. It's super simple.
Be connected to your product. And then you already have a customer base, right? You should have their contact information, right? In your CRM, you already have a customer base, and you can go out and you say, hey, we're doing this. We do this now as well. And you'll get, you have 3,000 customers, you'll get 150 people that respond to you.
Yeah. And what's a big one in the insulation space that I saw that I think would be, and I don't see a lot of people do this, is the insulation helps with heat loss or heat load and keeping the cooling and everything. So I don't see a lot of insulation companies offering like thermal windows. Like that should be part, like the windows is a huge aspect to heat load. And like when I go in and I do a heat load calc, I'm counting the windows, the size of the windows, and I look at the UV on the actual window, the stamp, and I got to see the rating. For an insulation company, if they're offering like, hey, we're going to insulate everything, but yet you got a wall of windows, like I got a wall of windows right here. Yeah. And if this UV isn't correct, it doesn't matter what you did for insulation. This is going to offset the heat load 100%. Correct. So things like that are very easy to incorporate into your business just by thinking, hey, we could actually offer an insulated window.
Yeah. Yeah. How can we help the customer even more?
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all it is. It's about convenience, and then just again, good customer service and fully communication.
Yeah,
Full
absolutely.
communication.
Absolutely. I wonder if what's the most, this is just kind of a random thought here, but what's the most creative type of either maintenance agreement, or have you ever seen anything that's really, I don't want to say maybe creative is not the right word, right? But most interesting type of structure for a maintenance agreement, whether it's in the HVAC space or any home service industry space. You know what I mean? Is there anything that you've seen that's
Hmm.
like, "Ah, that's creative as shit"? Like
Yeah,
that's
you know
really,
what's funny? No,
yeah,
and it needs to change because it's been the same way for so long. Everybody has the same exact agreement,
yep,
and nobody's really setting themselves apart. Now, a lot of people try to, they adjust their discounts up and down when it comes to it.
yeah,
They adjust their priority list, right? And scheduling, priority scheduling. I can promise you that priority scheduling thing doesn't work if you're a member with the company. I'm just gonna be the bearer of bad news. When the schedule's full, the schedule's full. They're not gonna bump a non-member for a member. Um, it's just really not one of the things that takes place. So there really isn't a lot of things that I've been like, oh wow, that was actually a really good idea.
yeah,
Um, as far as a membership agreement goes, but I do think um, I think what happens is a lot of the focus is on the aspect of getting back into the customer's home, and a lot of the focus isn't really now. If you're doing the discounts is huge on service. So if you're offering like a 15% discount on service every time somebody's got to go out and do service work, I mean, I see tickets that are saving $400 a pop on, and this person's only paying $200 for a whole year. Now that was just one service. So on the agreement side, companies don't make money profitable on that side. It's
right,
long, right? It's long term. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think it'd be really cool to put them on like holiday list and get them
yeah,
on the small, things like that. Or do one thing we're doing this year is we're doing door to door visits for like customers that have been with us for 10 years plus, where we have a service technician go out during the holiday, knock on their door, and that's literally what they do for the day.
that's insane.
Yeah, so we've been trying to incorporate some of that because then word spreads pretty quick. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
hell yeah, dude.
San
Johnny just
Francisco.
showed up. My freaking AC guy just showed up on Christmas.
Yeah, on Christmas, and he had X, Y, and Z for us.
Yes,
And
correct.
so we've been trying to do gift baskets like that and something a little bit more personal. But that's really gonna be
Yeah.
how you do stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, so needless to say, you can break it down to the more simple things. You don't have to think of
Yeah,
you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes people just,
no,
that kind of goes back to the conversation we were having before this. Sometimes people just need to be spoken to like as normal people.
yeah.
Right?
Well,
Like,
and you got to remember the world has lost a lot of. I don't. I mean, the term I like to use is warmth.
yeah,
So if you can just inject, people are like starving for that right now,
yeah,
like that humanity warmth
correct.
again, and that connectedness. And if you can be just that beacon of light in your community, it's going to be game over because nobody else is doing it. And
Yeah,
so I think that's where the game will be won all day.
absolutely. No, I agree. And I know Jason, and just for everybody listening, this is going to be probably the shortest one we'll have. That's me and Jason were BSing too much before this. But to kind of touch on the big things, because this was actually quite good, because I've been racking my brain on how we can help
Yeah,
installation contractors get back in homes and just do better, and create a bigger ticket price in the long run, and
windows.
yeah, right. When list little ideas there, but I mean, if
Yeah,
from going around, I mean, touching on the big ones, right? So customer service, obviously, but that's something that I think maybe people look past. Not just being good when you're doing the actual job, but things like Jace was just saying, going out on, doing visits, and like who
yeah,
does that? No one, right?
no,
So things like that. Obviously, good referral programs. Adding services, right? So services that they don't have to break your bank. You don't have to be an installation guy and start freaking roofing. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Like you can add something small.
Yeah,
So that just to better better your product, better your solution for your homeowner. Um, Obviously revenue is going to skyrocket when you do those things. Is there anything
yeah.
else I'm missing? Is there anything else we didn't touch on?
No, really just yeah, definitely having your memberships in line, fully communication, and then just staying connected with
Yep.
your existing customers. Don't ever take for granted. A lot of people get lost in the mix of trying to gain more and more new customer. Don't be a phone company, a cell phone company, right? That's the worst. I mean, how many people get so irritable when they're like offering all these freebies for the new customer? You're like, dude, I've been with you for 10 years, and you go in and like, yeah, you don't qualify. You actually got to be a new customer. What? What are you paying?
I'll give you a better one. Don't be a marketing firm. Dude, we market against people every day that try to sell you the moon. They tell you to write you a $10,000 check and give you a free car.
Yeah, that's it.
Before you pay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's too funny, man.
Anyway, cool. All right, Jace. Well, I'll let you bounce. We'll wrap this up, guys. We'll see you on the next one. I think we might have Tom back for the next one, right?
Yeah, I think so. If he decides to come back.
Yeah. Hopefully he wants to rejoin us. He's been on vacation forever. So episode 17, we'll be back for episode 18, hopefully next week with you guys. If you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever you're going to watch this on, YouTube, whatever it might be, comment if you have any additional ideas for retention for your home service-based company. Doesn't have to be HVAC or installation. Let us know what you think, and maybe we'll bring it up on the next one. See you guys.
See ya.